Welcome to the Raw Spotlight podcast, where we feature inspiring leaders in the B2B space and share their unique stories. Let's get started with the show.
Hi, everybody. I'm Victor Huynh, your host of the Raw Spotlight. We're here to feature leaders of B2B businesses, niche markets, large-scale brands, local businesses, and public sector entities to share their innovative strategies and inspiring success stories. Some of our past guests include past mayor of Diamond Bar, Andrew Chow, and we have a couple of exciting ones coming up, like today's guest, Augustin, and some very, very influential community leaders in the B2B space. And today's episode is brought to you by Ready Artwork, where we deliver uniquely tailored B2B digital marketing services to facilitate the long-term growth of your business. At Ready Artwork, we combine data-driven insights with innovative designs to help your business thrive in the digital age, from SEO and digital advertising to web development and email marketing. We have experts to help your company uncover growth in unexplored and extraordinary ways. To learn more, visit readyartwork.com. Let Ready Artwork discover your full potential. So please join me in welcoming Augustin Leung, a veteran of the transportation industry with over 2 decades of experience. Augustin began his career in California's automotive aftermarket sector and later moved into high-tech manufacturing with companies like Clarion, AAMP Global, now Stinger, and Cub Elect Parts. His expertise has supported clients such as Thomas Built Buses, Lippert Components, and Ferrari. Born in U.S. to immigrant Chinese parents, Augustin's career started as a hobby, rising from entry-level roles to executive suite. He's also a U.S. combat veteran, and he credits his success to great mentors and partnerships, including Ready Artwork. Cool. With more than a decade focused on vehicle safety, Augustin has held executive positions and served on safety committees, shaping strategies for passenger and pedestrian safety. His skill in product management, business development, and marketing have made him a leader in the industry. Today, as the owner of Brook Street Consulting, Augustin helps clients bring products to market, establish U.S. operations, and achieve growth goals. His deep industry knowledge and leadership make him a trusted advisor. We're excited to have him with us today.
Great. Thank you, Victor. Appreciate being here.
Yeah. So, Augustin, I'm just going to jump right into it and start, shooting out some questions, and, feel free to, cover as much as, you need to. So number one, what do you think are the most important steps in turning a product idea into something successful in the market?
That's a often asked question that I get. How I've got these ideas. I think it'll sell here, et cetera, et cetera. And there's a lot of components into it. I think the essential point of a product is it has to serve a purpose. There has to be a problem. So the product will either solve a problem or help reduce a problem, something of that nature. The positioning of the product and the features and how it works and how easy it is to operate. And these days, without an owner's manual, of course, is paramount. So the product has to be great. I think that marketing needs to be there. This goes from B2C, B2B, all the levels in between really need to be served, because at every stop, everybody needs to know how to sell it or what the benefit is. Having web resources, having great manuals and other collateral documentation, publications, all very, very important and key to having a successful product. And, a lot of salespeople don't get enough credit. I think the salespeople need to have the credit, because if they sell it right, then the product works. If it's sold wrong, it doesn't matter how good the product is. It's got to be presented in the right light. A quick example, is like Red Bull, like energy drinks. When they first started, they pitched at people, and then people said it was disgusting and it didn't taste good. But all it took was somebody to refrigerate it and chill it very, very cold, and that changed everything. So I think the sales model, the sales tactic, is very important. And The right marketing, the right sales, like I said, will present the product, if it's positioned properly and it really is going to serve its purpose.
Interesting. I don't often hear people credit salespeople. Usually they're the one that takes the blame when things don't go right,
Right.
and usually it's the product idea or the marketing
Hmm.
that gets most of the credit. Great perspective. Now, you've worked with big brands like Ferrari and Winnebago. What's been your most challenging or rewarding project, and what did you learn from it?
With larger companies, things tend to move slower. That's a good thing, but a bad thing. It's good because as you move slowly, you're able to build a lot of process. You can have steps and run a schedule. Um, the unfortunate part of that is sometimes the product or the company who's selling is looking for a lot of momentum, and they're looking to build momentum very, very quickly. So in the case of where the product needs to get vetted through either research or the various levels, various locations of a company, for example, like Ferrari, they're an automaker. They're a very prestigious automaker. And it takes a lot of people to sign off and buy into the project before it can go anywhere. And then afterwards, your delivery of the product really reflects on everybody who signed off on it. So making sure you have the right backup with good collateral, good market support, and of course, an actual product that is high quality, that doesn't fail and tarnish a brand. That's very important. Winnebago is no different. Also, in its own right, an automaker. They've got a lot of assets now from the big automakers like GM and Stellantis and Ford. They expect the same. So I think the challenges are from every direction, and the reward really is to see that the company who's making the product succeeds with sales, and also the brand and people who you sell it to, they also succeed, and they don't have a lot of backlash, and it's always kept within that positive brand image. I think brand image is something that's got to be protected, and brands like that, I think, value that. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that, where the bigger the organization, the more we call it red tape, right? But
Yeah.
there's a reason for that. I mean, there's a lot of liability, especially when it comes to engineering. People's lives are at stake, and that's the other piece people tend to forget too. That people that are paying for it want results really fast, and so there's
Right.
always that pressure of balancing the quick results with the liability piece or the safety piece. So really cool. So okay, so how do you balance technical requirements with what the user wants and needs in a product? So
Very fair question. And
yeah,
this is always one of those in product management, it's a chicken and egg kind of sort of thing. But there is a step, fortunately. There is an accepted procedure or flow where we start with market requirements. So it actually starts as a marketing exercise where the marketing team should really determine, okay, well, we have this particular problem, or we have this window, this niche that could be solved with a product. From there, those market requirements turn into, they eventually translate into product requirements. And the product then has to be able to fulfill all the things that the market wants. If it's got to be soft, if it's got to be firm, if it has to be pink, if it needs to be black, it's got to be within this price range because that's where the saturation's at. It's got to last for X amount of years because that's what the people expect for that amount of money. So all of these things, they all come full circle, and from marketing into the product development, the engineering, the quality control, manufacturing on time, production, delivery, procurement, they all feed into each other, and ultimately it comes back from marketing to measure it because you can see it in research, sales will see it in results, and yeah, so I think knowing what you need to do before you do it, and then technically being able to fulfill all the requirements is a key, feedback loop because in every single cycle you go through the circle and everybody buys off on it and they still agree. So that way you have a product that actually can sell within some meaningful volume.
yeah, great. So it seems like it's like bookends. Market starts with marketing, and you confirm with marketing whether
Hmm.
you hit that goal or not. I think the other challenge we see a lot is people just look at technical requirements as a list. They don't
Right.
think about why does this list exist?
Yeah. Where
What
did it
are
come from? Yeah.
yeah. Okay, good. Okay. So now on your personal development, right? In terms of products, you've developed some breakthrough safety products. Can you share how you come up with and build these innovative solutions? What's your process? Yeah.
Sure. So we'll go for something a little bit more recent. We made a blind spot detection system for recreational vehicles or RVs. So the technology existed, and we had it on passenger cars, and it was quite mature. Of course, the market continues to develop, but as you look at RVs, you look at trailers, you look at motorhomes. These are very large vehicles or configurations. So once you add a trailer behind a truck, it becomes quite long. And not until very recently, your truck, once you put this item behind it, the blind spot that came from the factory or an SUV, it got disabled. So the idea that you go to something that's more difficult to drive and make lane changes with, that struck to be a problem. So that's where we came up with our problem. And then the market requirements made it to be where the product had to be easy to install, easy to retrofit, and also easy to install at the factory should it be factory equipped from people like, for example, Winnebago or Ember RVs, where they have it on their trailers. So, you know, this concept of finding the problem, solving the problem, it really came full circle. And then with technology that was existing, it's not super amazing where, oh my gosh, this is so hard to do. It wasn't that hard to do, but to pick the little details that made everything work and pick quality components and pick the right partners that could showcase it. And then those initial partners saw value in it. And of course, good marketing development on that as well, having websites, having materials, YouTube videos on how to install, how it works, demonstrations through animation, etc. These are things that all came full circle. They really helped out, and it was a cyclical growth from website development. Then that caught the attention at trade shows and also individual, customers, and then the RV customers as well. So then those factories took note, and it just continued and continued, and then it grew. And then from there, it just organically will uh, add volume, and then the market becomes more saturated with the product.
Cool. Yeah. So trying really hard not to reinvent the wheel, but really just identifying where.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
a better wheel, a
Yeah.
wheel that fits more things.
Yeah.
And of course, free plug, but Ready Artwork was instrumental in developing those assets, and we definitely appreciated all the help that came through. Despite the challenging times that we faced, it was absolutely instrumental in turning the product and the brand into something completely recognizable in the industry.
Cool. Yeah. I remember that project. It was right in the middle of COVID.
Right. Yeah, we started
Yeah.
right before COVID. We
Yeah.
hit COVID.
Yeah.
Things got a little hairy. But yeah, overall, the timing wasn't great, but the results were still there.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you for the kind words. Yeah. Well, speaking of marketing, so you've led marketing campaigns at events like major events, CES and
Mhm.
SEMA. What makes a marketing campaign really successful in the transportation? Is it different? Is the transportation industry different than other industries like, consumer electronic or anything else? What makes it successful?
The transportation industry is different, and there are also different segments within it. For example, SEMA is a good example. SEMA is, the Specialty Equipment Manufacturers Association, which really serves the market that they make cars faster or they go higher or lower, louder, but to improve what was output from the factory. So that particular industry, you've got to target the right product. It's got to be put in the right language. When you go to shows, you need something that's going to be flashy. Nobody brings a factory equipped vehicle there. It's got to be fixed up, and it's got to look good. It's got to look just right. It's got to fit every single, the craftsmanship should be there. And it's an evolving market as well, where it used to be all that, but now has evolved, and they're showcasing a lot of even autonomy and advanced technologies. And they've transformed it into the total mobility space, where it's not just cars that go fast or faster. It's transformed into more electronics and more things that can make cars better, but not always just faster. So the success there really depends, I believe, on the right positioning and the language and everything that's used. Compared to CES, for example, CES, typically the Consumer Electronics Show, so you might see the latest and greatest news TVs, but there's a large transportation section, which now they call it mobility as well, I believe. So that encompasses everything like scooters or autonomous vehicles or all the technologies that are involved in that. So there's a lot of hardware and software and on the cloud stuff, and it's all about how you message it. Where there, your display has to look good, but the technical aspect is more important a lot of times there. And how to scale things is very important compared to, say, at SEMA, where the wow and cool factor is more important, I believe. So I think that success comes from knowing your audience. I believe positioning the marketing campaign properly, creating the right demonstrations and displays, the collateral, everything. It's the messaging, I believe, that makes the success.
Awesome. Awesome. I 100% agree. Knowing the target audience and knowing how to speak to them, how to connect with them. And those two are very different,
Very, very, very
Yeah.
different.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now let's talk about marketing versus product management, right? So you've worked in product management, business development, as well as sales, right? And
Mhm.
marketing. Which of those three roles do you enjoy the most? And how do these roles shape the way you lead?
Very tough question. I enjoy the business development because I believe that in all of those particular departments, you actually have a lot to do with business development as a whole. So, for example, we'll take marketing. The end goal of marketing is to develop business. So that leads into business development. Product management, a good product manager should know their market as well. So they should be accompanying the marketing people, the salespeople out into the field and learning about the customers and really understanding, making sure that they have a connection to the market that they're trying to serve, the channels. How does it distribute? Having distribution model understanding would make a huge difference, because then you can also try to influence back marketing and shape. Okay, are we trying to first market to the distributor? Are we trying to shape the marketing to the retailer? How do we get the pull through to where we get the end consumer, so that all of these confluences tie up together and you end up having product that pushes and pulls and it moves in all the different directions, so you end up with good sell through and not just sell in. If you just convince the distributor that you've got a great product, yeah, that initial order could be banging. You could do really, really well. But once it gets to the consumer, if the consumer doesn't know it's there, it becomes challenging for that distributor to sell to the retailer, and then perhaps also for that retailer to sell to the consumer. And then following on with that, having web assets to provide support, manuals, how to, things of that nature. But back to the original question, I do believe that my most enjoyed portion of it is still in product management. I like the technical aspect of it. I like to be able to control and influence how the product should work, and I like to get a good understanding of my products as I develop them and manage them. Yeah.
Cool. I thought you were going to say sales.
Sales is fun, and everybody tells you that's where the money's at, but
Yeah.
sales is a very tough job. And I don't often take those roles. Business development might be more along my lines, where I'm not trying to get to the last dollar and cent and come up with those programs. Reps, I got to give them a lot of credit.
Yeah.
Salespeople, a lot of credit. They have to know what they're doing if they're going to be very successful.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, let's talk more about product development then. So, how do you make sure your product development keeps up with market trends and consumer demands? Are you seeing like an acceleration in terms of trend and changes and transitions these days?
Absolutely. The consumers are more and more intelligent. They are more inclined to do a lot more research as they lead into their product selections. So, you used to be able to, say, for example, go to a car dealership. The car dealer salesman, although not typically, what they're known for, should know more about the vehicle than you should. But with the advent of the internet, apps from the manufacturers, a lot of marketing, a lot of information's out there. You have reviews, you have influencers, you have blogs, you have all these assets and resources you can go into, and the consumer really knows. They know what they're looking at. They know what they're looking for. They have a pretty good understanding of pricing. So having all that out there is also sometimes coming from product management. So, from product management, our perspective is you have to keep up with these trends. You have to keep up with even the memes of the day. You have to see what's going to be funny out there. Where is technology going from an advanced engineering perspective? So manufacturers like the chip manufacturers, for example, or maybe somebody has something as trivial as connectors. Maybe there's a new connector coming out. So you've got to stay on top of all the news, and you have to keep up with all these requirements that will be coming up, including regulatory, legal requirements. You got to see what Congress is doing, what the House is doing. They might have a bill up that's going to say, well, this is technology that's going to be required. And we have to trend everything out, and road mapping is very important. And with that comes the marketing roadmap that has to glide along with it. So the consumers stay educated. The consumers have to feel like the brand or the product is, a leader, and they do know who their market is. So that way they can make that connection, and product management it should encompass all that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, right. So you got to stay on top of politics,
Yeah.
legal,
Yes.
social media trends,
Right.
jokes,
Right.
every okay.
Yeah,
It's
you got
all
to be a pretty you got to be pretty witty to be in product management. If you're going to be successful, I feel like you've got to be that jack of all trades, master of some. Yeah.
mm, yeah. Okay. As yeah, you changed the ending there a little bit. That makes sense
Yeah.
though. Yeah. Okay. So now for you personally, what inspired you to pursue a career in transportation and automotive industry?
It was all an accident. It's been a snowball effect for me. It was an accident when I was still in high school. I actually went to an automotive aftermarket retailer to make a purchase for myself personally, and somehow I ended up working there, and it just progressed into a more technical deep dive. I learned more skills, got certifications, got education in it, and I just continued to advance. And I moved from a small retailer, to a larger retailer, from retailer, then having my own retail store, then transitioning into manufacturing from a small manufacturer to larger manufacturers. So it was just, I think it was a love for the excitement, for the technology, for the products, starting for me in performance, and then into car audio. And then as video came along, then navigation, telematics, advanced driver assistance systems, and then, all encompassing the entire vehicle. So everything touches everything. So it was just a snowball effect for me. And it was really an accident that turned into a career that has been quite good. Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
Very cool. So from a hobbyist to a C-suite in the automotive industry.
Yes, yes, yes.
Very, very cool. All right. So on that same train of thought, what advice would you give your younger self starting out in the industry?
You
Knowing what
know,
you know
I
now. Yeah, knowing what you know now.
Yeah, I look back and I always think I wish I knew all these things, right? I think that one of the things that I would tell myself is get more education. It doesn't have to be, at a four-year institution or whatever it may be, but I think I would have told myself to get more education, to learn not only one thing, but to learn about the many facets that, touch business. I wish I would have learned more about finance earlier. I think that if knowing now, I wish I would have chased more certifications, and continue that education more frequently than I did. And I think one of the things, I think I did this relatively well, but is to never turn down a position or duty. It gives you the opportunity to learn something. It's maybe it's not in my JD, it's not part of my regular job duty. Maybe it's a cross training sort of activity, but that's what led me into marketing, for example, and business development, because I was happy to go to a company and just tag along and learn a lot of things. Definitely, yeah, get your education, continue your education, and take any opportunity to learn that you can.
Awesome. Great advice. I agree wholeheartedly. So now the other side, the non-professional side of Augustin, right? When you're not working, how do you spend your free time? And do you have any hobbies or passions outside of work?
I do. And I think that was the beauty of my hobby turning into a career. I still have a deep passion for cars. I think the garage, has 11 cars in it right now. So there are a lot of project vehicles, and I try to stick to older vehicles. So I have two 66s, got a 74, 77, and then a bunch of daily drivers, I guess, motorcycles. But yeah, I like the restoration and retro modding, or resto modding as people call it. Um, yeah, but I guess that just means that work really never stops. It's just I look at this and I think about, oh, if this was available, or I research, or this could solve this, or this, it's a endless loop is what it really turns into. It's just all nonstop working, but it's fun. So it's good work. It's rewarding work. Yeah.
Awesome. So you're either working all the time or you're not working at all, right? I mean, if they say,
Yeah.
you love what you do, it's not
Yeah.
really work. Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah. And I've been fortunate that it's make ends meet that way. And yeah, it's been fortunate. It's been fortunate. It's been enjoyable. I don't think I'll ever be able to pull away from anything that has a throttle. As I understand, you ride motorcycles yourself, so
Yeah.
it's that great sound when you start that engine. It's great. Not to
Yeah.
take away from EV,
Yeah.
but there's just something about the excitement and that feeling of torque, and that noise that they all make. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. All right. So I have one last question, but before I ask it, I want our guest, all right, to visit your website. It's www.brookstreetinc.com. So Brooks, Brook, Brooks with the S at the end,
Yep.
and then Street spelled out Street, and then Inc, Inc.com.
That's
And
correct.
yeah, okay. So now the last question: who are your mentors, and what are their best advice?
I've been very fortunate to have a lot of good mentors, and some of them didn't even know that they're my mentors. I think that my military career, I was very fortunate to have a very good platoon sergeant. He always motivated, and he was always positive and really pushed for everybody to get better. So shout out to him. Another mentor, a very recent one, more into investing and everything else. There's a saying that he has. He says, we rise together. So when the tide goes up, we all go up together. And I think that this is very helpful in reframing, my frame of thought, where we don't have to knock other people down to be successful. We can bring success to ourselves and also look at those around us and also help other people succeed. If people have the right mindset, if they're positive, they're not being, destructive, I think we can all help everybody else to elevate wherever their game is. So having good partners, having good vendors, being a good supplier to somebody else. I think these are important things that this recent mentor has helped me with. And early in business at my first aftermarket retail store, he was my store manager. He's been a friend now for decades, and same thing. He's always been motivating to push and to give people that opportunity and open doors, or showed you the door. Whether you walk through the door, that's your choice. But I think helping people find places to go and try, and find better for themselves is very, very important. So yeah, I don't know if I should spit their names out, but
Yes, please do, and tell them
yeah,
about it. Right? Go, hey, I gave you a
yeah.
shout out, and I'm sure they'll
Yeah.
be proud of where you are today.
Yeah, so to my military, that's Kirk Alkire. He's running a great nonprofit now in Alaska. To my recent mentor, Stephen Texan, he's shown me a world that I've never known before. And then to my original manager, his name is Sam Wu. No connection to the Chinese restaurant, but yeah, he had also a very rewarding career and just amazing, just in every way. Being in business, family, everything. Just an amazing person. And there's many more along the way. I just don't. I'm sure I don't have hours to rattle off everybody's names, but I think the influential change that these people have made in my life, whether they realize it or not, it's been a good ride. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm sure that, like I said, I'm sure they're proud of you. Make sure they get a copy and listen, right? And they can hear all the nice things you have to say to them. So last thing is, are there anything that you want to cover that, I didn't bring up in the questions, or I know you might want to, shine a light on some causes like veteran affairs and things like that. Maybe, you can touch a little bit on that.
Yeah, I would like for people to know that there are a lot of people who would benefit from just a couple hours a day, or not a day, but a month, from a business or from individuals. There's a lot of veterans out there that are very qualified. They have very good skill sets, but they don't know how to use them. They don't know how to direct them. So if anybody has the passion to just reach out and try to help somebody out, I think reach out to your local VA. Or there's tons of organizations out there where you could donate a little bit of time. It doesn't take any money. It's just a little bit of time and guiding and mentoring, because we all had mentors, and some of these people have a tough time with transitioning, and a little mentorship would help go a long way for them. And the other thing is community. Look around our community. Let's support our local businesses. Like you mentioned Andrew Chow. So I'm actually a resident of Diamond Bar. And he's amazing. He does a lot. He goes well beyond what he needs to do what he does for the community. And
Yeah.
I think that it's these small, meaningful connections that can make a huge difference. Not to keep on plugging Ready, but Ready started many years ago as a very small operation, and it has scaled because you guys make a positive impact. It's a good method of leadership you guys provide. You have all the assets, you have the resources, and it all started from a small idea that was something that could explode. And I think a lot of the things that we have in our community, we can do that. We can help each other out. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, folks. So we've been talking to Augustin Leung, who is the foremost expert in transportation safety technology and CEO of Brooks Street Consulting. Augustin, where can people learn more about you? Do you have a LinkedIn page or a website is the best place?
Yes. So my LinkedIn is it's Augustin.Leung, so AUGUSTIN.LEUNG on LinkedIn, or my website brookstreetinc.com. We're a small consulting company, but we take people's ideas and then turn them into producible, manufacturable, output. And sometimes we help people set up businesses. They don't know where to start. And then we have resources like Ready Artwork, where we bridge the gap together and make things happen. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much for your time today, Augustin.
Thank you, Victor. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks for listening to the Raw Spotlight podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.